We are in financial maths. We are busy with future value grade 12 work. Remind ourselves again, what is the difference between a grade 11 sum and a grade 12 sum? Yes, monthly installments. Whether it's monthly, quarterly, biannually, whatever, it's more than one amount. This is what must be settled in your brain. There's more than one amount. That's where the X in the formula comes from. That there is constant monthly or constant biannual or whatever payments into it. Grade 11, there was one amount. Immediately you're thinking, no man, sometimes I put money in and I took money out. That's the timeline. But in each of those timeline sections, it was one amount that you were doing the A equal to P formula. Are you with me here? You need to know that clearly in your mind. So this question, let me read it to you because I'm not going to remember everything. Question 5 and 6 are on the board, and I thought I was reading incorrectly because both of them were doing something with 18 years, so I thought, no, I'm Democratia. This one said that in order to add to a study policy, Danielle takes out a retirement annuity. Okay? What is an annuity? Something where you put money. Yes, and you put it in. So it's growing for the future. That's what an annuity is. So whether they say savings or annuity, something that you are paying towards, it's an F sum. Guys, I'm going to show you some stuff that's going to be confusing again when we get there. But for now, F sum is saving for the future. Right. So she's taking out a retirement annuity for her child. Okay. She makes monthly payments of 300 Rand in the account starting immediately. Now, guys, we know that there's no gap in the front then, but you can't just assume that there's no gap at the back as well. Let's read. Starting immediately, the payment is paid in advance, which means that the last payment is made 1 month before the annuity pays out. Well done to these guys that set up this question. I know that she's going to start paying immediately and do monthly payments of 300, up to a month before the 18 years is finished. Are you with me? I don't have any insecurities about this. Okay. So there is a gap at the back. The interest rate is 12% compounded monthly. Compounded monthly, so 12%, that would mean divided by 12 for per month. Focus. Right. Determine the value of the annuity if she takes it out for 18 years. I don't think there was anything funky about this sum. Nice and straightforward. The only thing that you might have done wrong is not to have this extra bracket, because this formula is not on the formula sheet. The formula that you have on the formula sheet looks like that. Doesn't have the extra bracket. You've got to know you put the extra bracket there if there's no gap at the front, but there is a gap at the back. This one is when you have no gap at the front or gap at the back. But when you're sitting there, eating your fingernails, not knowing what to do, just choose. And choose the normal one. So in that case, if you did go off the wagon here, and you didn't do the extra bracket there, would you lose all your marks? No. You'd lose 1, maybe 2 marks. Right, so it is an F sum. We've now decided that the correct one is with the extra bracket. Why? Because this extra month of payment also has to have interest for the whole time. That's why you've got an extra month of payment of interest added in here. Okay? So we've got all sorts of things happening here, but it's the same thing over and over. The X is the 300. The I everywhere is going to be the 0.12 over 100 there and there and there. The N is actually how many payments did you make. Now, how many months were there in 18 years? And it was 216. Are we sure it's 216? Isn't it less because it's a month earlier? It is still the same amount because you started a month earlier. So if that's going to be your big stress here, and you maybe said 215, would you lose all your marks? No. So we'll have it on our memo if the child said 215. We're not going to say no marks for you. There's always marks for using the F formula. for using the correct I, which I think everybody would get, independently of what you're doing. And then the N, you might have made a mistake. Then it's terrible to mark this in a final exam because you're sitting and working out all the time whether the child did it correctly. Your correct answer then, can somebody agree with me, is 229631. Okay, how many marks?
3.
Definitely not less than 4. 4, maybe 5. Straightforward. Finance, you can get a lot of marks. Okay, number 6, I know would have been a problem for a lot of kids. The question reads that a mother decides to take out a savings plan. Savings for the future. For the future of a baby boy, oh Shan. She deposits 1,000 rand immediately. So no gap in the front. So there goes my son, no gap in the front. And into an account that makes thereafter for 18 years payments at the end of each month. Okay, and the interest rate is per annum. So now, let me just say, starts saving into an account thereafter, end of each month. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with them. Immediately and thereafter at the end of every month, meaning no gap there at the back. Are you with me? So in other words, how many payments were there? 217. That's where the extra n plus 1 comes in. Don't stress too much about it. If you wrote 216 eventually, you'd not lose all of your marks. But you see why it's 217, because that's the amount of payments that was put in here. Okay, but then that's not it. The interest rate is 12% quarterly. What is the sum about? Monthly I'm paying 1,000 for so many months. I cannot have a quarterly interest rate there. It doesn't add up. All the time you've got those three things working in unison together. I and N and X must be per month or per quarter or per whatever, all of them the same. So they told me that I've got a quarterly interest rate. So this whole first piece that I've got there was to work out quarterly into monthly, because that's what I need here, a monthly interest rate. If you miss that, this first piece that would have been 2, maybe 3 marks, you would have missed. So here you would have had your 0,12. Now if you wrote over 4, I hope you realize something's not lekker. Because how can this be quarterly and this is months? Okay, but if you did that, you'd not lose all your marks. Or you're on this track of you won't lose all your marks. Okay, so let's see the right way of doing it. Was to take quarterly into monthly. How do we do that? Can you remember a sum like this in grade 11? Where we took monthly into quarterly or quarterly into biannually or whatever the case may be. It comes from the effective and nominal. I'll erase that myself here. The effective and nominal interest rate formula, which is not on your formula sheet. You have to know this. What does the M stand for again? How many times in 1 year the interest is calculated? So if it's monthly, the M must be 12. If it's quarterly, the M must be 4. If it's biannually, 2. If it's daily, 365. We've had the discussion about it being a leap year, etc., etc. Are you with me, guys? Yes. This would be to take effective to nominal or nominal to effective. But now they have given me it's in quarterly. So I want to take the quarterly one into the monthly one. We did these sums. You can actually do 2 sums. Do the whole formula and take it back to effective, and effective then back again to monthly. You can do that, but this is the shortcut. So basically you take those 2 nominal values that was equal to 1 plus I effective, and you put them equal to each other, because that's cutting out that middle step. First taking it to effective and then back to nominal again. So I have the nominal quarterly one. They gave me as 12% per quarter. M is the same. I need the monthly one, meaning the M must be 12, and I'm looking for that number there, because that nominal rate is what I need to put in this formula. Long story for 3 marks max. You forgot that? Too bad, so sad. You go on with your 12% and whatever you did with that. Some kids will take the 12% because it was quarterly, they just divide it by monthly. They just take the 12 and divide it by 12. That's not right. It's close. It's 11.88%. Close, but it's not the same thing. But if you did that, at least you were on the track of divide by 12. Are you getting this? Not level 1. A little bit more complex than that. So after getting my nominal rate, I'll go to my F sum, where my I then would be that. Now, ma'am decided not to round it off because I'd like to make the sum as accurate as possible. If you did say 0.12, that's pushing it. Because now you're saying it's 12% again, and it isn't 12%, it's a little bit less. It's 11.88, you see it because it's I. 11.88, I would be more comfortable with you saying 11.88 divided by 12, and not the whole thing. So would you lose marks if you didn't write the whole thing or calculate with the whole thing? They are lenient with the rounding off here. As long as I can see you've done effective and nominal, you're using that one, you didn't go for all 19 decimals, but you wrote 11.88, I'll be happy with you. Okay, but now it's monthly. And this is the amount of months. We've discussed why it's 216 plus 1. Because of it not having a gap at the front or the back. What else could you have done wrong? You just said 216. You don't lose all your marks. So the I is the same top and bottom. It's 1,000 rand that she's putting away for 18 years. So she has in that child's account for her studies, or what was this for? 755,000 rand. If you want to work out if it's worth it, was it worth it for her to do that? Quickly calculate what is 217 times 1,000. You agree? How much does she get?
7.
It's worth it to do this. And why is it so much? Because it was such a long time. And 12% interest is not a little bit. Can you see it? This is why we save. This is why we give our money to the bank so that they can work for us. 200,000, 700,000. I think I'll do it. Right. Okay, this was the A part of question number 6. We call it effective nominal. That's how much money is in the bank after 18 years. When you go in there and say, okay, give it to me, that's the amount. But now the question B says, this boy that this money is for decides he wants to go away overseas for a year. He's only going to start studying the next year. He decides to leave it there, or the mother decides to leave it there in the bank. How much money will he have at the end of that year that he's traveling and gallivanting overseas? What must we do?
8.
Okay. Are you with me? Because it's one amount. It's this amount. The mom's saying, I'm done with 1,000 rand a month for you. This amount stays there, so it's read it 753.15, and then it's timed with still that same, because nothing changes unless the bank manager now says, okay, I'll give you 13%, whatever. You just read the question, otherwise it stays the same. So it was still. Since I was starting off doing no rounding off, I'll keep to it. 1 year. 12. Just be careful. Everything goes hand in hand. Here we got X and I and N. In the normal grade 11 ones, it's I and N. So this is per month, and 1 year is 12 months. That's the only thing you can do wrong. And answer, please.
8506. 606.
06, yeah.
83.
Fantastic. So he's earned himself almost another 100,000 for that year. The money was staying there, that Standard Bank was using to, I don't know what, offshores or whatever to make his money for his clients. Right. Question number 7 says, Reno deposits 5,000 rand into an account at 13% per annum, compounded half yearly. He deposits 6 months later, I don't like the English there, 6 months later he deposits another 1,000 rand, okay, in the account and continues making half yearly deposits for a period of 5 years. So again, I'm a little bit, I would have liked them to say continues making 1,000 rand deposits because he started off with 5,000 rand, right? But then after 6 months, he puts in another 1,000. Now, if this was grade 11, I would have said, okay, time period 1, let's do the ape and sum, and then let's do it for whatever's in there, because it's not 6,000 there. It's 5,000 and something plus for the rest of the time. But now he starts making 6 monthly deposits of 1,000 every 6 months. Let me just see, for the period of 5 years. So in other words, he immediately puts in the money. Then for 5 years, he does this. So 5 years, he continues putting in 1,000, 1,000. So what's my X?
Did you have to calculate it first?
X is 1,000. Because you have to have constant, continual, same amounts. 1,000. What about the 5,000 then? That's another sum. That's a grade
10.
11 sum. Well, 10 is, no, 10 not. A is for the 5,000. You're putting the money in there, 5,000. At what interest rate? Did I read it? 13%. And that 13% is compounded half yearly, so divide by 2. So the N has to be half yearly. So for the 5 years, I need to know that it is 10 half years. So because you're putting, that's a clear, straightforward grade 11 sum. Putting the money in there and leaving it there for 5 years. So that means that you've got 10 half years. Right? 10 half years. And we're going to get an answer of, I don't know what, please?
93856.9.
Okay, and do we round off? If you don't, if you do, are you with me guys? It's not so finicky. But that's not the end of the sum. Then you are treating this as your F sum. Don't even think about the 5,000 rand. Guys, some people do it all in one sum. It's fine. Don't be scared. They'll know how to mark it. I like you to do things logically in your little brackets or in your little boxes. The 5,000, that's the amount that you'll have of the 5,000 at the end. But then there's another sum that's saying which F? Which F formula?
Is it the one with the extra part?
Is it the one with the extra?
I think
When are you starting to pay the 1,000?
6 months late.
There's a gap. But maybe there's 5,000, yes, but the 5,000's got nothing to do with this F sum. This F sum had no payment of 1,000 there. So you're starting there. And you're doing 10.5 years. Your I is still 13% per half year. Are you with me, guys? Separate sum, which is going to give me a total, and I'll add that to the 9,000, and that's what's going to be in my account. So you're breaking it up into 2. So this sum, we established that we're going to use the normal F sum. Anybody that made a mistake there? I'm sure. Maybe you said N plus 1. There goes all your marks. You lose 1 if you did that. Because you know that it started paying immediately, but it's not 1,000. Okay? So we've got the X, that is 1,000 for 13% per half year. For 10 half years, actual 10 payments, that's what it's all about. Minus the 1 and 0.13 over 12. And please give me an answer. $80,960.535
526.
Okay, 535, so let's make it 54. Round it off, not round it off, won't make a big difference. If your answer here is off by a cent or 10 cents, it's okay. It's not such a big problem. Okay, so then we need to add the 80,000 and the 9,000, and what do we get? Okay, now depending on if yours was rounded off, not rounded off, added together, unrounded, whatever, it might be off by a cent or 10 cents here, and that's okay. Do you understand why we did this sum this way? So there was a grade 11 sum. Now what people do is they put it all together. They say the total is that A sum plus that F sum, and they do the A sum here on its own, and they do the F sum there on its own, and they add them together. I just don't want you to be confused. I want you to see the boxes. This is what's happening to the 5,000 Rand, that's what's happening to the 1,000, because the 1,000 formula means that as you put in the 1,000, you get interest on the first amount. The next month, you've got 1,000 plus another 1,000 plus another little bit of extra, and then gives you another little bit of extra interest. So to understand that this is two sums, a one amount sum and a frequent installment sum. Right.